This is about as close as you can get to another person. Look into someone's eyes, and it almost seems that you can see what they're thinking. Looking out, our eyes are clear windows on the world because they focus automatically. A camera struggles to see what's going on in low light, but reflexes adapt our eyes without us even thinking about it. Until, that is, something goes wrong. Fixing faulty eyes is one of the most difficult and delicate jobs imaginable. It's only possible because doctors and scientists have come to understand how the different parts of the eye work, piecing together the secrets of sight.
If I look at something and I strain my eyes because it's quite far away or I can't see it, then I get really bad headaches and have to lie down.
Priya Chaudhary is 13. When she was 12, she started seeing spots in front of her eyes. Now things are much worse, and her doctor says she could lose the sight in her right eye.
With my left eye, I can see everything, it's fine. I can read all the notes. But with my right eye, I can't see anything. From here to here, it's fine, I can see fine. But then I suddenly have to look up there, and if I do that really quickly, I'll see double, or it'll make it a bit blurry. Both my eyes I can see, like the trees, the house, everything clearly. I see all the lines. But if I close my eyes, if I close and I can see through the right one, it's just completely blurry. I can just see colours, and that's it.
Priya's problem is buried inside her eye. Our eyes sit protected in bony sockets called orbits. Each orbit is a hard shell that stops damage from most knocks. If we make the skull invisible, the eye is left as a white ball. The optic nerve comes out of the back and leads to the brain. 6 muscles are attached to the outside of each eye. They work in pairs to swivel our eyes, so both eyes look in the same direction. At the front of the eye is the cornea. It's clear like a window. Behind the cornea sits the iris, a round disc that blocks light, except for a hole in the middle called the pupil. The pupil controls how much light comes into the eye. Next is the lens. It's clear like the cornea, but its shape can change. Because the lens can change shape, it can focus light from objects both near and far away. The light ends up projected onto the retina, a light-sensitive layer of cells at the back of the eye. One tiny part of Priya's right eye has stopped working, the lens. It's not clear like it should be. It's called a cataract, and there is a cure: surgery.
Yeah, I'm nervous. I'm going to change the lens, or the cataract, to get rid of it, put it with a new one.
So you just have to look into the little window at the red light. If you just open your eyes.
Before the operation, eye specialists have to measure every aspect of Priya's eye.
Good. Apply some cream. And then if you close your eyes, we take the picture through a closed eye. It's a little bit cold.
Sound waves reveal the inside of Priya's eye. Light comes in on the left and goes across to the retina on the right. The distance from the front to the back of the eye is critical. Here's why. Imagine this glass bowl is the eyeball. There's a lens at the front, and water with green dye shows the path of the light rays. When a normal eye looks at a point of light, like a candle, the lens bends light rays so they converge, and we see clear, sharp images. But for some people, the lens doesn't match the size of the eye. Sometimes the light rays focus short of the retina, like this, making a blur. This is called short-sightedness. In other people, the light rays don't converge at all. This is called long-sightedness. To focus properly like this, short or long-sighted eyes need some outside help, spectacles or contact lenses. The extra lens moves the point where the light rays converge, back to fix short sight and forward to fix long sight. But when the lens at the front of the eye becomes cloudy because of a cataract, the only solution is to replace it. Moorfields, London, is the oldest and largest eye hospital in the world.
How long have you had the cataract?
About 2 years.
Yeah. And it's only started to affect your vision recently, hasn't it?
It's the day of Priya's operation,
About 6 months.
and John Dart will be her
The other
surgeon.
eye, you've got some cataract.
For a final check on the problem, he compares her good left eye with the problem right eye. He's put drops in her right eye to make the pupil open wide, to dilate it.
Let's just have a look at the cataract now. We've dilated your pupil because in order to do the cataract operation, we have to get access to the cataract. Look straight forwards for me, Priya, that's it. And right at the back of the lens here, you can see that very white, which is right in the middle of the pupil, and that's what's affecting your vision there.
Today the world seems a blur to Priya. A new plastic lens can make it clear again, but the operation to put it in will need an anaesthetic. A local anaesthetic would make it painless, but she'd stay awake for the operation.
Priya and I are having a debate about whether she should have local anaesthesia or general anaesthesia. She wants to have general, but I'm not so keen about general anaesthesia, so well, I think she's going to win.
Priya makes her own choice and goes for a general anaesthetic, so she won't be conscious at all for the operation. As she waits to go into the operating theatre, she's very nervous.
Yeah. Okay, Nick? We're just going to prepare the eye now with a disinfectant, an antibacterial called povidone iodine. We have to put some instruments inside the eye. There are various different places we can make an incision. In her case, I'll be making an incision just in the edge of the cornea, which is the window of the eye.
When John Dart cuts into Priya's eye, he knows that the slightest slip could make her blind for the rest of her life.
I'm going to make the incision.
It's vital not to damage the cornea, so John will have to work through 2 tiny incisions at the edge. The first job is to take the old lens out. John starts by breaking it up with a vibrating ultrasound tool. Then, a minute vacuum cleaner sucks out the fragments. Priya's cloudy lens has gone.
Right at the end, of course, we have to put an implant in order to focus the light again. If you don't put an implant in, you need very thick glasses. So the lens I'm going to put in, I'll be folding up, so I can put it through a very small hole and unfolding inside the eye in the right place. The nylon loop you can see here, that's what supports the implant in the center of the pupil. If I don't put this in the right place, it will decenter. I'm just going to stretch the capsule bag there, you see that, and just pop that into place. You can see how well that's centered, right in the middle of the eye there. That's the end of the procedure.
Priya's come round from her anaesthetic. It'll be some time before her right eye heals completely, and until then she won't be able to judge distances or see in 3D. 3D vision is called binocular vision because it needs two eyes. Our brains combine the two images into one clear picture. If they didn't, it'd feel as if we were drunk, seeing double. But actually seeing double is the secret to 3D vision. The brain can compare the slightly different viewpoint from two eyes to tell how far away objects really are. Priya may not be able to judge distances yet, but with her good eye she can still focus automatically. She learned that skill as a baby. Focusing from close to far objects is called accommodation. It's possible because the lens in the eye changes shape. When the lens is relaxed, it's thin and flat. This brings the light from distant objects into focus on the retina. But when the muscles around the lens contract, the lens becomes fatter and brings the light from close objects into focus. The lens accommodates the changes of focus from close to distant objects by relaxing and contracting to alter its shape. This is why it's called accommodation. Just 2 hours after the operation, the bandage comes off Priya's eye. Her new lens is already working, and in 2 weeks her eye will have healed completely.
It's not so blurry, but I can see clearly and I can see everything. I think everything will be better because I'll be able to see and I won't have so many headaches. It won't be such a hassle.
Ben Jones is 21. He's just finished studying at Kent University, despite steadily losing his sight.
Well, what's wrong with my eyes is I have a disease called Retinitis Pigmentosa, and it's a recessive disease, so it gets worse as I get older. My right eye went blind between the age of about 8 and 12, I think, and then my field of vision in my left eye narrowed in.
This is what the world looks like to Ben. A tiny area of clear vision at the centre of murky darkness.
Everyone else can just see everything in one go, whereas I have to build up pieces of a jigsaw by looking at that bit and then looking at that bit and looking at that bit. And so I build up the picture gradually.
Ben tries to lead a normal life. He likes sport, but finds some sports easier than others.
Tennis is quite easy for me to play because the ball comes straight from the opposition racket, so I can follow it within my field of vision. The worst problem I have is picking up balls at the back because I have to sort of scan up and down to try and find where the ball is. But that's where it affects me most. People will shout left, left a bit, down.
But other sports are almost impossible for Ben to play.
I find squash very difficult. I can't play squash at all, to be honest, because with squash it comes off it can come off 3 walls or whatever, and so I often lose sight of it.
Today, sport shows how much we depend on vision. For our ancestors, though, it was a matter of life and death. They needed to see fast-moving predators and catch animals to eat. So the structures of the eye evolved to make that possible. The retina that covers the back of our eyes is made from a layer of cells that are sensitive to light. So the retina is a bit like the film in a camera. The lens projects an upside-down image onto the retina, and the light-sensitive cells convert each patch of it into an electrical signal. Nerves carry that signal to our brains, but their wiring is arranged so that we see the world right way up. Our brains also compensate for the fact that each of us has a blind spot. This is the place on our eyes where the retina's nerve cells gather on their way to the brain, forming the optic nerve. There's no room for light-sensing cells here, so this part of the retina is blind in everyone. But right in the centre of the retina, not far from the blind spot, is where the clearest image is formed. It's called the fovea. Ben suffers from tunnel vision because the cells in the outer parts of his retina are severely damaged, while the cells at the centre and at the fovea are working normally. Tunnel vision makes day-to-day life a challenge for Ben. But at night, it gets even harder, because another effect of retinitis pigmentosa kicks in.
I suffer from night blindness, which means that when everyone else can see in the dark, I can't. Under street lighting, I can still see some things, but just not as much as everyone else. I have to have someone to hold my hand or take my arm and walk me down. It's generally not a conspicuous, I'm walking this person, it's just like we're holding hands. We just look like a couple, I suppose.
Most people can see quite well in low light conditions. As it gets dark, the pupil dilates and night vision is helped by special cells that make up the outer part of the retina. The retina in each human eye has about 70 million light-sensitive cells, but they're not all the same. The cells at the outer edge of the retina are called rods because of their shape. They respond to the intensity of light, not its colour. They're very sensitive, and they help us all see in the dark. But retinitis pigmentosa has damaged the rods in Ben's eyes, so that's why he has very poor night vision. If you looked at the retina of a dog or a cat, all you would see is rod cells, so they can only see in black and white. But near the centre of the human eye, it's a different picture. There are fewer rods and many more fatter cells called cones, again because of their shape.